Hello, WinCraps fans. A viewer asks which is better in the long run, a $30 Place 6 and a $30 Place 8 bet combination, or a single $60 Place 6 or Place 8 bet. In other words, would it be better to split a $60 wager between the Place 6 and 8, or to wager it all on just a Place 6 or Place 8? Now, both the $30 Place 6, $30 Place 8 combination and the $60 Place 6 or Place 8 are risking the same amount. And since both the Place 6 and Place 8 carry the same house advantage of minus 1.52%, we would expect both to average the same percentage lost over the long run. Let's check that out. I've set up a table here with 3 players, and I've given them each a $3,000 bankroll and a few little auto bet scripts. Let's take a look at those. $30 Place 6-8 is going to bet $30 on Place 6, Place 8. Call them on for the come out rolls, and we're going to say if the simulated hours is greater than 2, greater than or equal to 2, we're going to start a new session. Now I've set up the table for 120 rolls per hour, so 2 hours is going to be about 240 rolls. Second player, we have betting $60 on Place 6 and calling it on for come out rolls. And the third player, we're betting $60 on Place 8 and calling it on for the come out rolls. That's it. Now we can start a new game here before I do anything else. Get rid of any, clear out any previous data. You can see all our bets down here have been made. You can see them up here on the table. Let's open a bankroll screen. And the first thing I want to do is I've set the graph adjustments to be just shifting and not changing the scale. So it only shifts if the bankroll goes above or below the viewable screen. It doesn't change the scale at all. So I want to do that so we can compare 2 graphs here without scales changing on us. It gives a little bit better look. But what I would like to do then is set the distance between these horizontal lines to be $200. So there's $200 difference right there. Now I'm going to open a second screen, hold down the Control New so it stays on top. And we have this first player set to $30 Place 6-8. We're going to set the second one to $60 Place 8. Now before we start a hyperdrive, what I want to do, since we're running 2-hour sessions, I want to be able to stop the hyperdrive automatically at the end of a session so that I can kind of look at each graph and compare it before we start the next session. So I'm going to go to the dice roll pad. I'm going to right click over the pad and then select auto stop. And I'm going to set 239 rolls. So when it hits 239, it'll stop and we can take a look. Let's do that. Okay, there's the end of the first session. We can see that the $30 bets ended up at 250, had a high of 370. The $60 bet ended up at 530, had a high of 650. So a little higher on both accounts there. Let's start the next session. Okay, in this case, the $30 bets ended up at 170, high of 465. The $60 bet ended at 30 with a high of 440. All right, another session here. We can see the $30 bets ended at minus 110, high of 180. The $60 bet ended at minus 40 with a high of 330. All right, here's one that really took off. Let's look at this one here. $30 place bets ended up at minus 130, got to a high of 115. The $60 bet ended up at 780, ended up at a high of 960. So it really took off here. So we can continue doing that. We can keep running sessions and see how they play out. Maybe over time we can start to get a feel for which one might be better. Or we can just run this automatically. So what we can do is close these bankroll screens. And I'm going to right click over the dice roll pad again, and I'm going to take auto stop, and I don't want it to stop on 239 rolls now. I'm going to set 0 so it just runs continuously. And then I can start the hyperdrive, and it would run these games 2-hour sessions continuously, gathering data, putting it into the sessions log so we can see what the numbers look like. Now, to do this and get real good data, you'd like to want to run it for quite a bit of time. I'm not going to do that right here to waste your time, but I'll stop it here. We'll just see what we got so far. There's 365 sessions. And if we look at the $30 bet first, we can see it had a win rate of about 43, loss of 56, average loss per session minus 82, advantage was minus 1.88, so it fared a little worse than expectation. Let's look at the $60 place 8 bet. Win rate of 43, loss of 56, average loss minus 77, and advantage minus 1.75. So it looks pretty similar there. So, as I said, you want to gather more data. So I've actually done that, and I'm going to open that up right now. Previous game that I had set with 110,000 sessions. And let's look at that right now. Now, because there's more sessions, it takes a moment to calculate the statistics. Starting with the $30 place 6/8, win rate turned out to be 44.74%, loss of 54.85. The average loss per session minus 64, and advantage was minus 1.45. Let's see, how does that compare to, say, the $60 place 8? Okay, that has a win rate of 44.89, loss rate of 54.38. That's pretty close to the other one. Average loss per session minus 63.7. That's pretty close to the $30 bets as well. And advantage of minus 1.44. Again, pretty similar. So what I want to do now is kind of put this into an Excel spreadsheet. It makes it a little easier to look at these numbers. So I have 110,000 2-hour sessions. That's about 26.4 million rolls. Here you can see the $30 place 6. There's the win rate, loss rate. You can see they all compare very well. There's the average loss of 64.11 per session. The advantage minus 1.45. The $60 place 6 fared pretty much the same. Same average loss, same advantage. $60 place 8, same thing. Same average net, same percentage loss. The only difference you can really see out of this whole thing is that the two $60 bets have a higher standard deviation. They have a higher highs and lower lows, which is reflected in the higher standard deviation. As a matter of fact, if you look at these here, the highs look to be about between 2,500 versus the $30 high of 1930. So that's about, let's just say $500 higher. The lows are lower by about, let's see, 2440 versus 2310. So it's about $140 lower versus $500 higher. So if anything, I'd say the $60 bets here get a little more bang for your buck, because if things go your way, you're going to get a higher high, versus if things don't go your way, you'll get a lower low, but not quite as bad, if that makes sense. So, both players have a 6 in 36 chance, or I should say all three players have a 6 in 36 chance of rolling the 7 and losing $60. However, the $30 bets have a 10 in 36 chance of winning $35, whereas the $60 bets have a 5 in 36 chance of winning $70. So although they'll both average the same win and loss over time, each individual win on the $60 bets moves the needle a little further than each individual win on the $30 bets. This results in those higher highs and lower lows, and reflected in the higher standard deviation. So is there any way we can use this to our advantage? Well, it depends. Nothing is guaranteed. As you've seen, the average is going to work out the same either way. We know that on average we should get to about minus 1.52% given a normal distribution. However, what if the dice rolls are not normally distributed? Isn't that what we all hope for in craps? That the dice rolls favor our bets for the time that we're playing? So how about we take a look and compare a couple of sessions where we rig the dice so they're going to favor our bets, and we'll see which scenario here is going to benefit us the most. So what I'm going to do is I would go to the game, configure, and I'm going to go to the probability tab. And I'm going to set to change these percentages. So right now I've got the 8 selected, and it normally appears 5 out of 36, which is 13.889%. And I'm going to change that to 16%. Hit the enter key. Yellow means that it's locked. So 16% of our rolls are going to be on the 8, and of course it'll be distributed between all these 8s. and the remaining 84% is distributed equally amongst all the other rolls. Now we're going to activate that, and we would go back to the table, and we could reset our game and run our hyperdrive and collect our data. Now I'm not going to do that for the moment because I've already done it, and I'll show you that in just a second. Then we would come back in here again, unlock all cells. This time I'm going to change the 6 to 16%, and then we would make sure it's activated, and we do the same thing. We run through some data. So that's what I've done here, and I've written out in the Excel spreadsheet. Now I didn't run 110,000 sessions for these. You can run more sessions yourself if you're interested. I just kind of wanted to get some rough figures here. So I ran 5,000 2-hour sessions with 16% 8s. That amounts to about 1.2 million rolls. And now you can see down here that $30 Place 6 and 8 fared better. He has bets on the 8 as well, so he fared better. He went from minus 1.45% to a plus 3.36%. Now, the $60 Place 6, he stayed about the same, minus 1.49, because there's no favored 6s here. But the 8, the player betting on the 8, fared very well. Look at this, average net $362 per session. That amounts to plus 7.82% advantage. Let's look at the same situation if we increase the 6s. So here we have 5,000 2-hour sessions with 16% 6s, 1.2 million rolls. Now we can see once again the $30 Place 6 fared better. It went from minus 1.45 to plus 3.38. The $60 Place 6 actually, in this case, it fared a little bit better, but not much. That would probably even out if you ran more sessions. But again, the $60 Place 6 took off again. Wow. Plus $358 per session. That's a positive 7.71% advantage. So, what can we say about these things? If you spread out your exposure between both the Place 6 and the Place 8, it looks like you lower both your potential risk, but also your potential reward. You don't get as high highs or as low lows. Whereas if you were to choose either the Place 6 or the Place 8, on average, of course, you'll fare the same. But if it so happens that you're on the dare and it's favoring your bets for the day, you would fare much better in this circumstance. Of course, there's no guarantee on anything. So if you're willing to risk a little bit larger loss, and it didn't appear to be that much larger, as I said up here, it was about $150, to gain a much greater win, well, then I would suggest you bet a single $60 bet versus two $30 bets. If you want to play it a little more safe and not gamble on a lower low, but kind of stay a little bit more in the middle, you spread out your risk, then I would go with both the $30 Place bets. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. Thanks for watching. Take care.